Hello and welcome to the Doofcast, a film and TV podcast from Doof Media. My name is Scott Daly, and joining me, as always, he's the leader of the Justice Gang. It's Matt Freeman. How's it going today, Matt?
That's right. It's Mr. Podcast.
What are your powers?
I make sounds come out of my mouth, and I have a lot of technology that captures those sounds and transmits them all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the lamest superhero I've ever heard of.
That's hurtful.
This week on the show, it's Superman, baby. We're going to be taking a look at James Gunn's newest film, the first film in the DCU, and the second Superman film in the last, I don't know, how many, 20 years? I can't keep track.
Who knows? No one.
We're talking about Superman.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this. We are going to do a brief spoiler-free section here at the beginning of the podcast, just in case you haven't seen the movie yet. It's only been out a week, so there's a good chance you haven't. So if you're just curious for a spoiler-free reflection from Matt and I on what we thought of the movie, stay tuned for that, and we'll definitely let you know when we jump into spoilers. But after we talk about Superman, Matt, you wrote something here in the script, and it's, to be honest with you, it's hurting my eyes looking at it.
Well, that's fairly appropriate, I would say.
Okay. What did you want to talk about after Superman?
I wrote K-Pop Demon Hunters in the script, and I had to make it look all rainbowy because that just goes with the vibe of the movie. And I thought it was kind of, first of all, wanted to talk about it anyway as a phenomenon and as a movie. And then I kind of thought it was just interesting on a meta level that you had like, I don't know if you had never heard of it, but you were just like, I know nothing about this. And I just thought that was an interesting indication of how media bubbles exist. And we could maybe talk about that for a second too.
Yeah, I mean, the most I knew is that I logged into Netflix one day and this thing popped up on my screen and I said, that's stupid. And then I closed it and just carried on with my life. So I'm really interested to see what you have to say about this for sure.
All right,
Matt, let's get into James Gunn's Superman.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah.
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
Sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some
it's
might.
A lot of fire,
it's a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny?
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of the United States.
I wasn't representing anybody except for me and doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die.
Matt, what is this movie all about?
Superman must reconcile his alien Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as reporter Clark Kent. As the embodiment of truth, justice, and the human way, he soon finds himself in a world that views these as old-fashioned.
Fucking woke bullshit.
I know.
The human way.
Right there in the summary.
This movie was written and directed by James Gunn. It stars David Corenswet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult as our trio, our triumvirate of Superman classic characters. All right, Matt, this is the spoiler-free section. So without going into too much detail, please let me know what you thought about James Gunn's Superman.
I found this movie to be very enjoyable while I was watching it. It's very fun. I think we're going to talk a lot about James Gunn in this conversation about Superman and the kinds of movies that James Gunn makes. And you're very aware while you're watching the movie that this is a James Gunn movie. He does all of the James Gunn things. And if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, 1, 2, and 3, then you will enjoy this movie for all of the same reasons. It's also kind of a lot, in the same way that James Gunn movies tend to be. Which, if that's not your thing, then I guess that might wear on you. But I think on the whole, it's a fun time. It's a fun time. I think the worst thing I'll say about it is like there's one really good movie in there, and then there's like 4 other kind of less good movies that are also crammed into the same 2-hour runtime, which is what I mean when I say it's kind of a lot. Is James Gunn just can't help himself, and he just puts everything in the movie. So those are my feelings. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say conservatively, Superman is pretty important to me. I'm staring at a Superman poster right now as I talk to you. It's from Man of Steel, a movie that I did not like at all. But the poster is really cool, so I bought it and framed it, and it's been in my room for years.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I think I went into this. I think my expectations were lowered by the trailers, which I thought were overly busy and had me kind of worried. So I went into this like kind of desperately hoping and praying that this movie would be good, because I really, really want a good Superman film. And I left the movie satisfied. That's what I'll say. I think this is a very fun movie. It's a very good movie. I agree with what you said. While watching it, you really enjoy it. It's one of those, like, I think the things I've compared it to, and we'll get into some of this in detail, is it's like one of those, one of those pictures where it's like those meme pictures where it says at the bottom, it's like, the longer you stare at it, the more wrong things you'll notice. And that's kind of my feeling about this movie, where if we had gotten together, I saw this Friday, so almost a week ago. And if we had gotten together like an hour after I watched the movie, or maybe even a day after I watched the movie, I would have nothing bad to say about it at all. Unfortunately, the longer I've sat with it, the more kind of little problems I've found. And then I had this really interesting thing that happened where just maybe within the last day, some of the problems that were really nagging at me, just kind of, I was like, I don't know if I care about that anymore. So I've kind of come full circle on this movie in a lot of ways. But I think overall, I really enjoy it. I think James Gunn has his hands on the pulse of what makes Superman a good character. I really enjoyed his version of Superman. It is very different from a lot of other versions of Superman, but I think very true to the comics and my understanding of Superman. This is a man who is indestructible, but also very vulnerable, emotionally, and just, mentally, and in all the ways that make a compelling, interesting character. I thought the cast was excellent. Especially these are 3 main characters. This is, I think the most important thing you have to do in a Superman movie is you have to nail Superman, you have to nail Lois, and you have to nail Lex. And I think David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult were excellent. And so like that's already, you're halfway there, I think, just with that. So
yeah.
I think this is a really good movie. It's a worthy Superman film. It feels in many ways kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon, to I think its benefit and maybe detriment in some ways. But it's a good movie. It works.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny your narrative about your really liking it, walking out of it, and then kind of maybe souring on it a little bit, and then those sour notes sort of vanishing. It's interesting because it somewhat reminds me of my reaction, where I actually, when I walked out of the theater, I had multiple people literally reach out to me and tell me how great it was. And so that's just a little fact about me, is that always results in me being disappointed because I get really hyped up. And then if it's just really good and it's not the best movie ever, then I'm just like, oh, I only felt strong emotions 3 times. And then so I was a little down on it walking out of it, and then I was complaining about some of the elements I didn't like, and then similar to you, the elements I didn't like just kind of faded away in my memory over the course of the last week. So I think we both sort of just like mellowed and equalized to the point of not being extreme in either direction. Once we get into the spoiler section, I probably will vent about the stuff I don't like, and I'll try to be constructive about it, because it's like, I wish James Gunn would just focus. That's really what it boils down to. Like, he's incredibly talented, and I feel like the impact of certain of the things that he does in his movies is blunted by the fact that you can't focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And again, we'll talk about that later.
I completely agree. I look forward to that conversation. I agree with you about this movie being overstuffed too. And one of the things, like, we kind of talked about this last week, but this movie had just like so much on it, right? It has to be a Superman movie, a good Superman movie, which is pretty hard to do. It has to kickstart this whole new universe they're starting, right? This is the first film in the DCU, so it can't just be just a Superman movie. It has to be that too. And I do feel sometimes the weight of that on us, that we have to set up so much other stuff. And I appreciate, this isn't a spoiler, but the movie kind of brings us in media res in this world. We are introduced to the world, a world that already knows about Superman, a world that already knows about metahumans, a world that metahumans have existed for some time, and we're just brought into it. So we don't have to waste any time there, which I appreciate. But gosh, there's so many things. There's so many things in this movie that it is sometimes overwhelming. And I agree with you. I think when the movie is at its core, when it's Superman, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and even Superman and Lex Luthor, I think is when it's at its absolute best. And I think some of the stuff surrounding it just crowds out those moments sometimes. I think
crowds it out, and it's not as effective. And the stuff that is effective, this is the thing. The stuff that is effective is very effective. Mm-hmm. It's emotionally effective. It's dramatically effective.
I got choked up. I got moved. Like, exactly. I mean, I'm a sucker for this stuff because it's like Superman. Just seeing the iconography of Superman for me is enough to get me like halfway to choked up already.
That's exactly right. That's why I'm trying to hit this very specific target of my feeling about the movie is like, wow, the stuff that worked so well. I wish there was like 30 minutes less of the stuff that didn't work, because then I would just have this memory of this movie that came in and hit me with a ton of bricks and then left. You know, like that's like the only issue. So I'm gonna keep harping on it, I guess. But a lot of fun stuff in there, though.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess overall, if you are curious about this movie, if you haven't gone to see it yet, and you're like, oh, well, let's see what Scott and Matt says, why would you wait for us to just go see the movie? But I think overall we liked it, and we would definitely recommend it.
Yep. Okay,
now let's spend the next 45 minutes shitting all over it.
Sounds good.
All right, we're moving on to the spoiler section now. So from here on out, there are going to be spoilers about Superman. So do not listen if you have not seen the film yet. Okay, Matt, where do we start? I just want to reiterate before we move on to some stuff that bothered us that I think the Clark Kent and Lois Lane stuff, as little of it as we got in this movie, which we did get very little of it, I found extraordinarily effective.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they're already dating when we enter the movie. I love that we don't have to do any of that. We don't have to do any of the how is Lois going to figure out? We just don't have to do that. We don't need that anymore. I love the opening, like, crawl, I guess you could call it, of the 30 years, 30 or three. I don't remember what it is, like 3 decades, 3 years, 3 months, 3 minutes. Like, I think that gets you into the movie right away, I think.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah, I agree with you about the Lois and Clark stuff working very well. Their big sort of argument where he's being interviewed was great.
I was riveted.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I don't know that I've seen a lot of James Gunn stuff outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but I was thinking like, wow, James Gunn is really nailing this, just like expositing the theme through an argument between two characters. Mm-hmm. This is working great. I'm doing the meme where I'm like bored and folding my arms while watching a violent action scene and then cheering while characters are just arguing in a room. Because I loved it. I love that. Some of my favorite stuff was like not just the action in general, but the specific element of the action where Superman would, at great difficulty to himself, go out of his way to protect people and squirrels and dogs.
Squirrels, yes.
I was always that, like, every time that happened, it made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's like, we've seen man punching man a 1,000 times now. It's actually just does nothing for me anymore. I think it does nothing for anyone really, but you got it. And so you've got to give me something to care about. You got to give me some drama embedded in it, and having Superman have the extra difficulty level of, like, he's and then I think it was actually smart having this particular sort of douchebag Green Lantern character who is not Hal Jordan. I forget his name. He's a different Green Lantern.
It
doesn't matter. The Green Lantern guy.
Yeah.
He is like standing in for just like the guy that we're bored of watching, where he just cares about punching and being the superhero, and Superman is contrasted to him, right? He's not a villain, but he is sort of a foil to Superman, where we see how much harder Superman's life is because he cares about people and he has this big heart. And the performance really sells that he has this big heart, by the way, like all these little acting choices consistently just really, I think my favorite acting moment from him in the whole movie is during that argument he's having with Lois, where he is getting angry at the things she's saying, and he just like takes a second, he raises his voice at her, and then he stops himself, and then he just like takes 2 breaths, and he just like gets himself under control.
Yeah. And
then he's fine. And I was like, yeah, Superman, he has emotions, but he controls them because he's an adult.
Yeah.
He has to. Yeah. But like, it was done in a way where it wasn't like, oh, he has such darkness within him that he must control. It's just like, no, he's actually a really sweet guy. Yeah. Even really sweet guys get mad sometimes, but then they handle it because that's who they are. And it helps sell the character to me.
Well, he's human. And I think that's largely what the movie is about, is that this guy is ultimately human. Now, does he have superpowers? Yes. Is he indestructible? Yes. Is he a beacon for the rest of us? Yes. But he's also a human being, and he has doubts and insecurities and #super shit. All of this stuff bothers him, just like it would bother anyone else. Uh-huh. And it took a character that can be unrelatable, and I think made him very relatable, without breaking the core Superman of the character, I think.
Yeah. I agree.
I liked I liked the dog.
Uh-huh.
I think there was probably a little too much dog.
Uh-huh.
Just like the 4th time he whistled for the dog and the dog came to save the day, I was like, okay, I'm maybe a little too much dog.
Yeah. Crypto's the key to all this.
Yeah,
we've never had a funnier character in a Superman movie. to paraphrase someone. Basically, it's the. It's sort. I mean, it's again strikes me as a very James Gunn thing, that it's like it's not actually a good dog. It's actually an asshole dog.
Oh yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah, he's actually a monster, and that's like the joke. Which is fine. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the dog wore on me in particular, but I do think I think what really wore on me actually is not the dog, but like the whole part of the movie where they're in the pocket dimension of which the dog is a part, and thus I associate it with just like, oh my god, like it's like it feels like it's a third of the movie. I don't think it really is, but it is your classic second act treading water.
Yeah.
Superhero problem, right?
I was excited about the movie, and then I was a little cooled on the movie, and now I think I've come back on the movie. But the one thing that hasn't changed is that the pocket dimension stuff is just absolutely brutal for me. And it's not like there's not good pieces in it. Like I'm actually really into I mean, like every movie has to have a moment where Superman is being infected by kryptonite,
Right.
and so we have to figure out how to solve that problem. And I actually like the plot with Metamorpho and like how he witnesses this horrible death of this random guy, and that motivates him to come around and help. Like I like that stuff, but oh my god, like it felt we were in that like neutron river for 45 minutes, and I'm just like, it is the one moment in the movie where none of it feels real. There's no weight to it. Like I'm like, James Gunn is not about to melt a green baby.
Yeah.
And so it just kept I felt like Superman was like being rushed in that river for so long. And I was just like, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of this place. I need out of this dimension. How long have we been in here? Jesus, come on, hurry up. And like, I think it's a shame because there's moments of this part that I think Lois gets to do some of her best stuff. And it's not like I don't like the Justice Gang, but that's when like Superman basically exits the movie. Lex Luthor kind of exits the movie, and it's like just the Justice Gang and Lois Lane, and I'm like, man, I'm struggling here.
Yeah, I don't. The Justice Gang didn't work on me very well. The Justice Gang is one of the 4 other movies that were crammed into this movie that I. Maybe if there was a Justice Gang movie and I was properly made to fully care about these characters, then I would actually care about them. But like, I don't think that I thought Mr. Fantastic or whatever. No, sorry, Mr. Terrific. I don't think that I felt that Mr. Terrific was nearly as cool as James Gunn thinks Mr. Terrific is.
Yeah,
and that was kind of a problem. Like the most James Gunn scene in the entire movie is when they go to that like camp in the on the coast that has the portal. And he does exactly the thing that Yondu does in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is it in his contract that he has to do one of these in every single movie? Is
I
that
think
like
so.
written somewhere?
Where we have a musical needle drop accompanied by a man semi-psychically guiding a flying object around to bonk a bunch of people. Yeah. And I was just like, okay. He's gonna kill all of them or knock them out or whatever, and I don't.
Yeah,
I don't like to.
I have become allergic to that scene, and I was like so excited and into it in the first Guardians movie, and then every time it's been repeated, I just don't care anymore. I'm just out. I really like James Gunn as a filmmaker, but he has these tendencies, and this is one of them where I'm just like, this is nothing to me.
Yeah, I think I've lost track of what emotion he is trying to create with the whole needle drop thing. The last Guardians of the Galaxy movie I thought was also incredibly emotionally impactful in many ways, but there were so many of these needle drops where I was like, what do you want me to be feeling right now? Like you can't just like, I know that you like this song, James Gunn, but you can't inject that emotion into my head by blasting that song over an action scene.
Yeah.
Like that's not how music works. There's a reason why I appreciate innovation, but there's a reason why movie scoring is done a certain way. And it has to do with like what is actually supporting this moment. Because I just get confused. I'm just literally just like, I don't know, am I just kind of supposed to be vaguely excited that colorful things are happening on the screen? Because that's what I'm feeling.
We also really don't know who Mr. Terrific is as a character.
That's true.
We've barely gotten to understand his power and who he is, and like he's the only one that helps Lois, and we appreciate him for that. But like, I mean, I feel like when it was Yondu, it at least was like, this is a character we've gotten to know over the course of that movie a little bit, and this is an important moment for him.
Also, Yondu is something of an underdog in the situation, whereas this is just him kicking ass. Like, So,
well, and it's really interesting too, because like in the Guardians version, Yondu can be a mass murderer and like just literally kills them all. like he just, and I'm not saying like that should have happened in this movie. It's certainly not, but he's just shocking them and knocking them all out. And like, I don't know. That's part of it. Where like this is just it moved too far into silly for me.
And
I think I liked Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern maybe a little bit more than you. I think I guess here's what I'll say, and this is one of my complaints with the ending of the movie is I think the Justice Gang works as like comedic relief, fun guy. I think Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern, by the way, is named Guy. It's Guy Gardner is his version of Green Lantern, and like it's fun for comedic relief. People he has to team up with. They end up being like pivotal to the climax of the film, in that the film sets up this very classic Superman problem, right, where he has to be in two places at once. The conflict in Israel and Palestine. Oh, I'm sorry, not that is about to boil over, and he needs to be there to help stop it. But also, there's this interdimensional tear ripping through Metropolis, and he has to be there to stop that. And there's this really interesting that this is like the thing that they do in Superman stories all the time. It's like Superman is the strongest person in the world. He's the fastest person in the world. He could do everything, but how can he be in two places at the same time? He can't. And so we have to figure out how to solve that problem. And I was a little disappointed that the way this movie solved that problem is just said, it's solved. They're there now. So we're good.
Yeah.
It was just a little disappointing to me.
Yeah. That was one of the things that was going on in my head while I was watching the movie, honestly, is I was thinking about the ending of Superman, the movie, or not just the ending, but like the whole final act where you got two things, right? You've got, first of all, Lex puts kryptonite on him and throws him in the water and he's drowning. And that's analogous to him being in the pocket dimension in this movie. Yeah. Except in that movie, it's resolved by like one act of compassion from Lex's girlfriend that takes like 2 minutes of screen time instead of the thing that we just complained about.
Yep.
And then when he gets out of the pocket dimension and he has to make a choice between saving the city from the missile and saving Lois, he has to make a choice.
Yeah, the movie forces him to choose, and he ends up getting to have his cake and eat it too because he's Superman. But
right.
Like it still made him choose in that moment.
Well, and then he has to kind of sacrifice. It's funny. I won't necessarily argue that this element of Superman the movie works perfectly, but in order for him to have his cake and eat it too, he has to sort of break one of his edicts.
Yeah,
which is some kind of character choice also. So the point is, we're making character choices. We're making things that actually have dramatic weight to them. The scream he lets out at the end of that movie is one of my absolute favorite moments of any movie.
Yeah.
Before he flies up to turn time back, and like you said in this one, it's just like, yeah, he does all of the things because he's Superman, and this is just not that kind of movie. You know, this is not the kind of movie where you're going to have that scream of anguish. Yeah. It's more. It does have its poignant moments. It has its moments where you get choked up, but it's not going for that same kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and I guess the way it was executed ultimately for me, like it comes in as like a reveal of like, you can't be over there, and it's like, well, luckily I have some backup, and like, I mean, I know what the movie is doing, right? It's trying to do this thing where, like, the thing about Superman is not only that he's incredibly strong and can fight the strongest people ever, but he's also very inspiring, and he inspires people to stand up and do what's right. And so I think what part of the movie is doing is it's taking the characters of Hawkgirl, of Guy Gardner, of I guess Mr. Terrific to a lesser extent since he's already actively helping, but it's getting them off the couch and getting them out there to help. And so them showing up at the end of the movie to get in the middle of this fight is because of Superman's inspiration, essentially. But like, I don't know, we didn't see that. It just comes as like oh, don't worry, they're there now. It just happens. So it just like, I don't know, it didn't work as effectively for me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't believe that the Green Lantern character was like inspired by Superman. I believe he was more like shamed by Superman, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't. The whole Sokovia, whatever we're doing thing, it just did not.
I mean,
that part I almost don't even want to talk about too much because it just so thoroughly didn't work for me that I'm just like, just cut it out. Like none of that worked for me.
So I mean, we have to kind of talk about the politics of the movie a little bit, though. And this is the part that, like, the more I thought about it, the less it worked for me. And then this is specifically the part that I just kind of stopped caring about a day or so ago. Because, like, obviously, like, this is a very transparent movie. Like, I made the Israel-Palestine joke, with perhaps in poor taste given what's going on right now, but like, this metaphor is very clear and obvious, right? We've named them other countries, but come on. And like, on the one hand, I respect James Gunn for going there, for putting Superman in the middle of this conflict. On the other hand, like, he doesn't solve it. Like, and I'm like, let's be clear here. I'm not saying Superman needs to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that's gone on for hundreds and thousands of years. Like, I'm not saying, like, in a 2-hour movie Superman needs to solve it. What I'm actually saying is, like, he can't. Like, that's not, like, Superman is inspirational and awesome and, like, a beacon of goodness, and I love that, but this is, like, it's almost something, like, too complicated for this movie to deal with, and like so it can't. And so what it says ultimately at the end is, like, hey, like, be good, be good like me. And that's fine for, like, a Saturday morning cartoon, right? Because that's Superman. It's like, I'm Superman, I'm going to be Superman, and everything's going to be okay because I'm Superman. And that's fine, and that's totally what I want out of my Superman stories. But then, like, you drop it on this incredibly horrible and sad and complex conflict, and I just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be less generous to Gunn even here, because, like, the movie, it actually just isn't a very mature take on this. Like, if it is trying to be an Israel-Palestine stand-in, it's actually just terribly insulting and reductive and dumb, because it's like, so are you insinuating the problem here is that there's, like, one really bad guy who's behind it all, actually, and all you need to do is kill him, and then all of the, like, the bad guy soldiers, the obvious bad team will then retreat, and then it's over. It's because that's what the movie is doing. Like you said, Saturday morning cartoon logic, and it's like, yeah, that's not how any conflict in the world really works, right? I was actually wondering, I was pondering this. I was like, maybe this is actually more meant to be like a Ukraine Russia thing, where at least there, like, if you're willing to squint your eyes pretty hard, then it's like, yeah, I guess if you grab Vladimir Putin and you drop him from a great height, maybe the war maybe the Russian invasion of Ukraine would end.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, it's hard to believe that, because, like, one of the nations is, like, heavily coded as being provided, an industrial nation that's being provided copious amounts of weapons from the United States, and then the other is clearly a less developed nation, of civilians, essentially. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's very obvious and transparent, I think.
I mean, you're right, but that's, I think he's doing a very bad job at that, if that's what he's doing. Like a remarkably bad job.
I get this desire to speak about contemporary times, and I think there's a lot of this movie that does, like Lex Luthor being a tech billionaire, is an intentional choice to speak about contemporary times, certainly. And I think this conflict is as well. I mean, obviously, like, what is happening in Palestine right now was not occurring when James Gunn was writing this movie, right? So, like, we can't say this is a direct commentary on the escalation of this conflict that happened in the last year or so, because that's just not how these movies work. This movie's been in production for a long time, but I mean, it's a cyclical, recurring conflict that has happened a lot. And again, there's part of me that kind of respects him for trying it, but I don't. trying to make, like, if you sit down and you say, what do I want my Superman story to tell? How do I want Superman to relate to contemporary life in the world? This is his attempt to do that. This is his attempt to bring that in. And yeah, I mean, like, I still like, the interesting thing about this movie is I still felt like inspired by Superman. I like the kid lifting the flag with the S on it and closing his eyes and saying Superman moved me to tears. And it worked in the moment, but ultimately, yeah, it just feels kind of hollow because it doesn't, like, it doesn't do anything.
It really doesn't matter. So I was going to say a second ago, I was going to say, like, here's one problem is, like, what is this movie about? What is this movie about? And then I realized, like, it's not that I don't know, because I do know. What it's about is this thematic and character conflict and juxtaposition between Superman and Lex Luthor. And the real dramatic, like, revelatory moment of the film is when Lex and Superman are having this argument while Superman is fighting his evil clone.
Yeah.
And Lex reveals, like, I am doing this entirely out of envy, and I am a small, petty little man who is driven entirely by envy of someone who I see as being better than me, and I can't stand that.
Yeah.
And
I love that. I love that so much.
Right. And so do I. I love that too. What the hell does the Sokovia...
I love how you keep calling it Sokovia, which is a Marvel name. I honestly don't remember the fake name of the country.
Yeah,
either,
I don't either. I'm referencing Sokovia because I'm tying in the fact that Marvel did the same thing, where they had a multi-movie thing where they were like, we're got to talk a lot about the real politique elements of having superheroes, which actually I think often worked. Like, I actually thought, Marvel Avengers Civil War was a good movie. Like, I thought that was, like, a good, like, fun, like, it was a good sort of, like, political thriller type movie. But in that one, the whole, like, the political elements were tied. Okay, this is my point. In that movie, in Civil War, the political elements were thematically perfectly tied with the character elements. The political elements manifested in the conflict between Captain America and Iron Man, and it was all tied together. It was all integrated. In this one, this fake proxy war thing happening in these pretend countries really just had nothing to do emotionally or thematically that I can figure out with, like, the actual thematic crux of the movie. And that's what I mean when I say that. That's what I mean when I say there's, like, 4 movies crammed into one movie. Is it's like they don't have anything to do with the main thing. They're just separate.
I don't disagree. I mean, I think you could make the argument, and I think ultimately what the movie's argument is that the fact that Lex Luthor uses this proxy war between these two nations as a means to an end to feed his envy and desire to murder one person is part of what the movie's saying, right? That the fact that this thing is not his end game, but just a fun bonus to what his end game is I think part of the point. But having said that, it's not that I disagree with you about how it doesn't ultimately work, and it feels superfluous in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I can even see your point there, that it's all really what we realize is, like, oh, this is more about aggrandizing his ego.
Yeah.
And I actually just agree with you that's correct. It's just, it doesn't really connect in the moment, right? That's one of the funny things about us, like, talking through these things is, if I put something together a week later, is like, how should I feel about that? Because I certainly didn't put that together while I was watching the movie, and I feel like that's another way of saying there's too much going on. Is there's too much going on for me to connect it together into a cohesive web while I'm actually sitting there watching the movie.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the most moving and I think the most functional thematic through line to me was what they did with Superman and the message from his parents, from Jor-El.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's technically a change in canon, right? The message does not map up to what any other Superman movie has said the message should be. Although, like you read enough comics and see enough Superman spin-off stuff that you realize that they all do that particular thing, but it works so much as like the fundamental piece of Superman's arc, which is that he's this alien that came here and is struggling with his identity, and like the one thing he held fast to was half a message from his parents that told him, come here and help these people. And he's held on to that, and he's made that his identity. And then the other half of the message gets revealed, and it shatters that identity, and he finds himself lost and confused. And the end of the movie is him kind of rediscovering his identity, not as Kal-El, but as Clark Kent, as son of Martha and Jonathan Kent, as boyfriend of Lois Lane, and as a human. And I just found all that really effective, and I thought the video was a great way of kind of pushing that arc. I thought was just very well done. Although I would have to say, like, the number of lampshading things we do to the no, it's real. It's not fake. It's real. All of our experts have said it's like the movie needs to, like, the movie just needs us all to understand to every possible level that this is not a faked thing.
Yeah, I noted I was only slightly bothered by, because I was like, oh, so all of the experts on Kryptonian computers verified.
We ran it through all their language programs, Matt. We ran it through the programs, and they all confirmed it.
This is a situation where I actually just go like, they probably got some thinkers that just, verified it for them.
Ultimately, I don't care. It's just like it feels like they got that feels like one of the notes they got of just like people are going to think this is fake. Because I mean, totally. It is interesting. It is a reflection of our times, right? Where like we're in a place where AI stuff is getting so good that you see a leaked audio of someone saying something, and you're like, sure that's real. And the movie, for the movie to function, we just have to accept it as real, because that is Clark's arc.
Little parenthetical about this, though. I did, as I was walking out of the theater, rather as I was in the theater, I was imagining. So I did not take my kids to this movie, but I was imagining if I had taken my kids to this movie, walking out of the theater with them and having them all turn to me and go, "So what's a harem?" I kept saying that word harem. What's a harem? Why did they say harem so many times in this Superman movie for children?
It is like, I mean, that's a very good point. And for the most part, it's, I think, a very kid-friendly film. Yeah. There are a couple moments in it. I think that's one of them. The other is this poor, like, food vendor that helps Superman out of a divot in the ground that gets shot in the head.
Yeah. In
the middle of the movie. Like, I found that scene very effective, but I was definitely thinking of, like, Jesus, the kids are gonna this is gonna be a rough one to bring your kids to.
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing compared to the thing that happens in Guardians 3, but yes, I agree with you that it is rough. Sorry. So we were talking about the message. I really like this sort of simple, elegant way that I think it was his father said, or his dad rather, not his father, said, what you wanted that message to say says more about you than what it actually said. Something like that. And I found that to be, it's simple, it's direct. It's like, I'm not saying it's like, oh, that's like, incredible dialogue, but it's like, it's extremely functional dialogue. It's like, yes, that's exactly correct. It's exactly the takeaway.
It's Superman. And I adored it. I loved that Jonathan and Martha Kent. I love the casting there. This is not fucking
Kevin Costner. These are they cast these are like normal people. What do they look like? They look like farmers from Kansas. That's what they look like. And
I loved those scenes. I loved that moment with his dad. Like this infinitely better than the Kevin Costner stuff in Man of Steel, man. Like just rage inducing. The dumbest shit I've ever seen.
You're still not over it, I know.
I'm not. I'm still so angry about Kevin Costner's first chastising his son for saving a busload of children, and then standing still while a tornado consumes him. It's like, Jesus,
not my pocket.
Snyder.
Yeah.
So yeah, loved those moments. I think perfectly, and I did love the 3-beat at the end of the movie, right, where the robot says, "Do you want to play the video of your family?" It calms him, and this time, it's Pa and Ma Kent.
Yeah, perfect.
That was a great conclusion. I loved all that. I thought it was very effective. I loved his stuff with Lois, and I mean Lois's arc is really interesting too, because like she's a woman in this relationship that hasn't really fully gotten her head around what all this means
right.
for her.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that element of things overall, because so the movie is about humanity, and the thing about Lois, which in some ways, I think in many ways connects with the struggle that Clark is going through in the movie, is like she's going to break up with him because she doesn't believe she's good enough.
Yeah.
Because of her own insecurity and her own feeling, which he is not, he is not doing anything to project onto her, but she's like, this guy is too perfect. This guy is too nice. This guy is this guy's a much better person than me, obviously. And I, Lois, am flawed and annoying and abrasive and demanding. This is her self-image of herself. She basically tells us as much. Yeah. And he deserves better than me, and so she's going to end the relationship for that reason, which is like so human, and
yeah,
her arc in the movie did work on me really well.
Yeah, I loved it, and it made the moment at the end when they kiss and in the air in the middle of that, was that like a mall? I don't even know. It was a beautiful shot of them just hovering in the air kissing. I thought was just marvelous. Just that like he gets the iconography of Superman so well, and he builds in so many sequences and scenes where he like just knows right where to put the camera, right where to stop the camera too. He does these things multiple times where like the camera will be like moving over a scene, but then it'll just like pause like on the S, like perfectly framed on his chest, just like a splash page in a comic almost, right? Like he just gets comic book storytelling very, very well, I think.
Yeah, I think there are many reasons why he's like the go-to director now for apparently everyone, and one of them is that visual sensibility. I think it almost goes unremarked on. Unfairly, because his stories are so snappy that you're paying attention to the story, you're into all the wacky stuff that's happening, but he does have an incredibly keen visual eye. Everything is colorful, and there's a lot of thought put into the design of things, creature designs and set pieces, and just the framing of shots even can feel sort of comic booky, and the way action is shot, obviously. Like that's one thing I was noticing a lot, by the way, is the let's talk about the kaiju fight as an example of what I'm talking about, because like you can't like just the way the action is shot, there's sort of like a visual language of how action works that is kind of unique to each director, where you can compare that, you can kind of take that scene and you can be like, all right, well, how would Snyder have done that, and how would Whedon have done that? And you kind of immediately see a picture in your head of what that would be. And there's something about the pacing and the sort of relative patience with cutting and focus on like the stuff that he focuses on, the stuff that's happening during the scene that he's focusing on. He's not focusing necessarily on the big powerful punch to the creature's face. He's focusing on the squirrel and the little drama of the squirrel over here to the side of things. And we're actually getting the action is in the background of the squirrel. it's a lot of really intelligent storytelling. It almost reminds me of Verbinski, actually.
Yeah, I like that.
More so than like Snyder, for example. So
Yeah.
I really like the way he did the action 95% of the time.
Yeah. I are you excluding anything else we haven't already talked about, or is it just the scene with Mr. Fantastic or Mr. Incredible?
I mean, I agree with you. I didn't like the anti-proton river or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was visually chaotic and impossible to follow and boring. So those are my visual. Those are my like action scenes that didn't work, honestly. But
I also like I think the fight between the engineer and what ends up being his clone, like I thought that fight was good. I don't know. Okay, a couple things. The first thing is I actually thought the rift spreading through Metropolis, I didn't love that part. First of all, I think it's very unclear to me like how fast this thing is spreading, because like I don't know. There's this interesting thing that happened in this movie, Matt, which is where we have to evacuate the city, and they just evacuate the entirety of Metropolis in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's this really interesting thing that we're in now in 2025 with these superhero movies, where we either have to these movies have to be big and they have to be spectacle, and so you have to have incredibly strong superhumans flying around, invariably destroying things. And so you either make the destruction element what the movie is about, or you have to very quickly lampshade it, right? Like, you have to do one of those two things. And like, I guess I would prefer at this point, we've seen so many like deconstruction of superhero genre stuff that I would just prefer the lampshading, but it is always going to make me chuckle when we have the scene of quick, evacuate the city. And then this rift has been going on for what feels like 40 minutes of movie. And then there's a line of like, oh no, there are people over there.
Right.
Where it's like, I don't know. Like, and also it felt a little clunky to me. There was like, how do we stop this rift? And it's like, oh, we have to get the code from Luther, and that's how we stop it. And I don't know, that felt weird to me.
I feel like you could take a scalpel and you could cut everything having to do with the rift out of the movie, and it would actually just be totally fine, which tells you that it just doesn't matter. So
yeah, I mean, I think they need like a ticking clock. Like I do like he desperately flying towards Luther and then suddenly being beat back by the engineer and what's his name?
Yeah, I don't remember.
And then he's like desperately fighting them while you know that this ticking clock is going on. I think that works. Okay, here's the thing that like action wise just did not work for me at all. And maybe you can help clear up what the fuck actually happened. I don't understand how he beat the nano machines in his lungs thing.
Oh, yeah, I also don't understand. Sorry.
So like he went up really high and then just smashed to the ground really hard, and so he won.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically making this up on the spot, but I feel like it was like he either knocked out the engineer, which like disabled her control over her nanomachines, or he just hit the ground so hard that he like knocked out the nanomachines that were in his lungs.
They tried to throw a line in there at the very end where the engineer's like, at this speed I can't, yada yada yada, and I was like, huh?
Yeah, I think what she was saying was like, we're gonna hit the ground really hard, and I'm not gonna, you know, it was weird because it was like, well, if you're gonna hit the ground at like well above terminal velocity, then she's gonna be dead. But Superman doesn't kill people, so he's calibrating the impact very carefully to knock her out without killing her. I don't know.
I'm not even saying like I hate it conceptually. I just don't know if it was clearly communicated to me exactly what happened.
Well,
which kind of it distracted me because I was like because I mean it is an exciting moment. It's like the nanomachines are in his lungs, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But wait, can't and like in my head I'm like, wait, but Superman can hold his breath for a long time. And then the movie immediately goes, but can't Superman hold his breath for like an hour? And I was like, we're on the same page, movie. And they're like, yeah, he can if he has oxygen in there, but he has no oxygen in there, he just has nanomachines. I was like, oh fuck, okay. How is he going to get out of this actually? And I was really, really, really into it. And then kind of like the, how is he going to be in two places at once thing? The answer was just, he just did.
Yeah.
And I was just a little let down by it is all.
Yeah. I was also thinking about another character in a thing that we read who a similar thing happens to, and how, and I was just like, oh yeah, well, that was a problem in that thing that was not solved. So how are we going to solve it? I'm very eager to see how we solve the problem. And then it's just like you said, he just does it somehow.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is the, you want to avoid your viewers thinking too much about like the tactical realism side of things, and when stuff like that happens, I'm just like close your mouth. You're Superman. Like, what's the? I don't know. I
yeah.
It's just kind of Saturday morning cartoon stuff, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I did like the Lex studying Superman so much that he's calling out moves before and effectively like beating Superman that way. I liked that a whole lot.
Yeah.
I struggled with the clone Superman thing. And it's part of what you were talking about to me of like, there's just so much shit in this movie that we like introduce the concept that Lex Luthor has cloned Superman, which is a huge deal. And Clark is now faced with a version of himself that he has to fight. And we don't really ultimately do anything with that because there's just not time. There's not time to actually explore that conceptually. We just, Batman begins him into a black hole and we don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah. The idea of it being a clone, usually you use a clone as a sort of foil. You say, the clone is everything that I am not, or everything that I fear that I could become, or something like that. But it's just kind of like, no, Lex Luthor just needed to have a super powered guy who was strong enough to beat Superman, so he made one. Yeah.
And I don't think he's supposed to be Bizarro Superman.
No.
Which is like a very specific character. I think he's just supposed to be they called him Ultraman. I think he's just supposed to be a Superman clone, and that's it. Which again is not the first nor last time there will be Superman clones and Superman stories. Like we do this. We always do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just felt like another thing at the 11th hour that there just wasn't room for it. And so like, I just have a hard time believing that, we're going to end this movie and now Clark Kent knows that there's a clone of him, which is certainly not gone, right? Like he's sucked into a black hole, but I don't think we're going to see the end. I don't think we've seen the end of Ultraman. I think it's what I'll say.
Yeah, you can always bring him back. Yeah.
So, I mean, just like that idea, that concept just being like tossed in the movie at the very, very end to me was like, this should have been like a whole big part of the movie. And you could kind of hang the whole the human versus alien internal conflict of Superman on a clone character. You totally could, like you said. And there's just no time in this movie.
Yeah, there are so many interesting things you could do with this idea. I actually feel like it's sort of like thematically underexplored, where it's like, okay, Lex Luthor is incredibly envious of this man, but now using his intellect, he has just like created his own version of this man who he basically owns.
Yeah.
And that's not really like addressed or even like noticed by the movie. Maybe it's not even clear.
It seems like that would be his ultimate accomplishment in a way.
Yeah. I think to paraphrase the movie we watched last week, I think it's really just that Lex can't stand to see anyone else succeed.
Yeah.
And so even like having his own personal Superman is not enough as long as there is a Superman out there running around doing good things and everyone loves him.
Yeah. Yeah. He hates that this guy is loved. He hates that he's achieved success. And here old Lex Luthor is just the richest man in the world who also happens to be the most insecure person in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes him
I wonder if
inadequate.
that's a metaphor for anyone.
Yeah, there's yeah. Definitely.
But I joking aside, like I really did like the character of Lex. I thought Nicholas Hoult did a fantastic job with this guy. I thought that Envy speech was really fantastically well done, and he's really getting into the character in a really fun way. I don't know if I loved. Honestly, the honest emotion I felt in the moment of Clark at the end saying, that's what you don't understand about me, Lex. I am human. I don't know if it worked on me thematically. I don't know if the actual moment, the beat to beat of that speech that he gives to Lex at the end, like worked for me. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. It felt a little, it was, we had made our point. We didn't need to belabor
you didn't have to
it.
spell it out quite that literal.
Yeah.
We can show Superman coming to that realization without having him say the themes themselves.
Yeah.
But there's also a part of me that just loved it because like that's cheesy ass goody two shoes Superman. That's gonna be like, I am human.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm torn.
I'm kind of neutral on that beat. I agree with you that it wasn't like a swell of emotion for me, but there are plenty of other swells of emotion sort of surrounding that moment. So
yeah, no, for sure.
And then the Hulk came in and ragdolled Lex. I mean the dog. Oh, sorry. Am I pointing out how he keeps borrowing things from other movies too much? Sorry about that.
I can't decide if that was the moment where I thought the dog was we had too much dog, or if it was the moment where he has the dog attack Ultraman, where he's like brains versus brawn, and then laughs and then summons the dog again. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Let me be clear here. I love dogs. I have 2 dogs. I am a dog person. Dogs are great.
I felt kind of
too much dog. A little too much dog.
I felt kind of dumb when he said brains over brawn and laughed, because it took me several seconds too long to figure out like what that remark had been supposed to mean. Because it's like, so you're saying the dog is the brawn, or what's the joke? And then it was too late, and then the movie moved on. So
yeah. I will shamefully admit that I was right there too, where I was like, what'd you mean?
Normally I get quips, but
yeah. Can we talk about the one thing that this is? I think we're getting to like nitpicks, but why didn't Lex just fucking shoot him in the face?
Oh yeah, that bugged me when he's dying of kryptonite poisoning, and we've established. I was actually quite annoyed by this. It actually, this was actually a significant ding against the movie to me. I'm not exaggerating, because like I was pretty well with the movie, and we get to the pocket dimension, and we're subjecting Superman to green kryptonite, and I'm like, everything we know about this instantiation of Lex Luthor, and everything we're going to learn about him for the rest of the movie too, tells us that he wants to kill Superman. It's like his main thing he wants to do.
Yeah.
And he throws in some stupid line that's like, if it were up to me, I would just kill you, but unfortunately, it's not my choice. And I'm like, you have him helpless at your mercy in a pocket dimension that only you can access. This character would just kill him now. It's and I was like, I was so annoyed by this, because it felt so like you said a couple times, like lampshady, where it's like, okay, we have to insert some dialogue to explain why this happens, because it doesn't make any sense. I was annoyed.
Yeah, I was less annoyed with it in the moment because I think our understanding of the character at that point in the movie is that all of this is so he can be like a king of the half of I think what do they call it, like Lutherland or
Something like that.
something silly. That he's working with this other government to help their invasion, and he's been promised half the land, and that's what he wants. That's at this point that's what he wants, and so he's working with the United States government, and he doesn't want to like betray the United States government because he wants to get what he wants. So it didn't bother me in the moment, but then in retrospect, when the reveal is that all Lex wanted was Superman dead because he hates him. In that moment, I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you had him. The only headcanon I have for this, and maybe this is just like there's probably people out there that this didn't bother them at all, and they just immediately thought this thought I'm about to have, is that it's not enough for him just to kill Superman. He wants to do it publicly. First, he wants to destroy him in the people's eyes, and then humiliate him publicly. And that's all I could think of, is that like he doesn't want to kill him here in his Guantanamo Bay, or Alligator Alcatraz. He wants to do it in the public where people can see that he is the one that beat Superman.
Yeah, that was a thought I had sitting in the parking lot after the movie as well, but not during the movie. But I even that I don't really buy. I still don't buy even in this moment, because I'm just like, he had already ruined his reputation because he had already done the whole thing with the message.
Yeah.
And now he can kill him. And instead, he doesn't kill him, and then Superman escapes. So then he tries to kill him immediately. So it's like you had no reason not to kill. There was no reason not to kill him. There was, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to belabor it too much. It was one of those moments where it emphasizes the stuff that I already didn't like about the fact that the pocket dimension was an unnecessarily large part of the story.
Yeah. And again, like, I joked about Guantanamo Bay, but like this is the politic of the pocket dimension, right? Is like, we are constructing a black site in which we can, without due process, house unlawful aliens, right? Yeah. Like, this is the movie wears its politics on its sleeve, very, very, very much so.
Yeah. And also all of Lex's mistresses. So
yeah. Well, that's what people do, right?
Of course.
Yeah. I want I think you talked about the message, and this is one thing I wanted to talk about, something I didn't think about myself when watching the movie, but I was listening to another podcast talk about this movie and they brought it up, which is that in this movie, Superman is a very successful hero, loved by the masses, and then some trolls dig up some old message that makes him look really bad.
Uh-huh.
And the whole world turns against him. And this is spurred on by troll monkeys constantly on social media, with one goal to destroy him. This is Superman is James Gunn. This is what happened to James Gunn. James Gunn was a very successful actor working for Disney. The Guardians of the Galaxy movies 1 and 2 had made more money than anyone expected, were more popular than anyone could possibly dream. And some people went on the internet and found some very old, very distasteful tweets that James Gunn made, and he was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And this is now why he is working with Warner Brothers. It's why he is the president of DC Studios, co-president, is what happened here. And yes, he was eventually rehired on Guardians 3. The I think goodness prevailed in that regard. But I think he's a little mad about it still.
Yeah, he seems to be a little. I couldn't help but see some of that in the scenes where Lois is where Superman is like, well, the social media stuff doesn't bother me. I don't even look at it. And then Lois is like, I sometimes I see you looking sadly at your phone, and I'm not entirely sure
Yeah. And I mean, like, James Gunn is a very online person, right? Like, he engages on social media. He talks, he shares stories. He has like, obviously the cast is like these three actors, David Cordes, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult, have like, they're the face of this movie. But I think you have to include him in that as well. This is as much a James Gunn movie as it is a David Corenswet movie. And I ultimately find it very interesting. This is what he decided to do with this movie. And like, I'm not even saying it's like a bad thing. It's just, I can't unsee it now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, you just like worked out your anger with everything that went down by putting yourself in the Superman role. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Doesn't really bother me that much, because while I agree with you that the idea of like troll farms that are actually powered by monkeys with chips wired in their heads is on one level feels like a low blow that he's committing. It also just works with this idea of like, if he's trying to make this cultural criticism, or political criticism about the way our culture is stoked into war, and manipulated, but public opinion is manipulated, and things are ginned up to I don't know, to get some outcome by powerful people, and then like that's all just in the movie anyway. So the fact that this also applies to James Gunn doesn't feel like a huge faux pas.
No, I found it more funny than anything else.
Yeah,
and I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
it is like legitimately just one of those things that did not occur to me in the moment at all. But then I was like, oh yeah, okay.
It is funny.
Yeah. So how you feeling, Matt, about the DCU? I keep wanting to say EU, but no, that's the Snyder one, is the DC expanded universe.
Oh.
This is just the DC universe, the DCU.
Wow. I didn't know that. And now I do. I guess. How do I feel? I guess I am cautiously optimistic. Mm-hmm. For all of the things that I complained about, I want to strike the right tone here, where I'm not saying I hate James Gunn and think he's a terrible director. I'm actually saying I love James Gunn and think he's a great director. But sometimes the movies are overwhelming, and there are certain parts that don't work on me that well. And so if we get 6 more movies like this one, I'll probably be on the whole happy. Mm-hmm. And probably complain about various parts of all 6 of them. But still walk away from them feeling emotions and caring about characters and all the things that you want from a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder. I guess I also just don't know quite if this is going to be like, is this going to be a representative sample of what we're going to be getting? Or is it just like, no, this is James Gunn being James Gunn, doing James Gunn stuff. The other stuff is going to be other directors, and it's going to feel different from this.
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
Right. And I think it's just too early to know.
Yeah. I mean, we are, there probably is going to be a Justice League film eventually. But what it looks like, we don't know, like Matt Reeves' Batman 2, like no idea what's happening with that. It's been delayed so many times. I think it's coming out in I think he just turned in the script for it like a day ago. So like, I think that's a 2027 release, but no idea if that's going to intersect with this universe at all. The next film slated to come out under the new DCU thing is Supergirl. That is a Craig Gillespie directed picture. We saw Supergirl at the very end of this movie. I liked that cameo, by the way. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
That's our dog.
We didn't talk much about the comedy, like specifically, but I thought that was funny. I really enjoyed the Jimmy Olsen stuff. That was just kind of this.
Oh my God! How would we not talk about Jimmy Olsen?
Yeah, it's just this comedic, like offbeat through line through the whole movie of he's kind of a normal looking guy. All women are in love with him inexplicably, and he is constantly trying to weasel his way out of their attention. and just just a very unexpected and unusual sort of comedy for a movie like this, but it definitely worked on me.
Yeah. I think he's like one of my favorite Jimmy Olsens. He's played by a guy named Skylar Gisondo, I think is how you pronounce his last name. But he was in the Righteous Gemstones television show. He's like, my wife loves this guy. Like she finds him so hilarious. So I don't think she knew he was in this movie. And then like she saw that he was Jimmy Olsen, and I think he nails it. He's so funny. And his greatest contribution to the film is successfully navigating a content management system while flying in a spaceship.
There you go. I also saw an interview with him.
We get to see him press publish.
Yeah. On some kind of internet that he was on. I guess that ship probably has internet.
Of course it does. Yeah. He's Mr. Incredible. He's got internet.
I also saw an interview where he said when he was called in to audition, he assumed that he was auditioning for Superman.
I saw that too.
Yeah. And he's like, I guess Gunn's going for kind of a more down-to-earth, normal-looking Superman.
He said when he told James Gunn that after he was hired that he laughed way too much. He was great. I loved all that. It was very funny, very effective. I mean, I don't know. Was that better than I don't know. For example, a Jimmy Olsen who gets shot in the head in the first 5 minutes of the movie, which is better, you think?
It's hard. It's really hard to say. These two things are both really entertaining.
Yeah, but anyway, I like this. I liked the Supergirl. I think it's played by Millie Alcock, who I don't think you ever watched the House of the Dragon show.
No, dropped off pretty quick.
Yeah, she played the young version of the character who I'm not even Rhaenyra. She played the young version of Rhaenyra, and then they do a time skip, and so she's not on the show anymore. But I really like her. I like it seems like what they're doing with the character. I think it's gonna be really fun. And then the next movie after that is Clayface, which is written by our guy Mike Flanagan. So
nice.
Like it's not directed by Flanagan because he basically did not have time. He wrote the script and he brought it to them and they liked it and wanted to make it, but he didn't have time to direct it himself. So it's being directed by James Watkins. But I don't know. That could be a very different feel. Just being written by Mike Flanagan means it's going to have a very different feel from
for sure
this movie we just watched. So
100%. Gosh, part of me really wants to see this Superman with the Hot Topic Batman in the same movie. And I don't know how to play that exactly. I don't know. It feels like if you were going to do that, it does feel like the choice you would have to make, the way you would have to go is okay, it's funny. It's funny that these guys are in the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would want that to happen, because then it's okay, well, now you're just turning the serious and emotional Matt Reeves universe into a punchline, which is not actually what you want to do. This is kind of what happened ultimately, I think, with Marvel, where it's as you mix together all these tones, you just end up with this sort of gray tone that makes you feel nothing, because it's just haha, nothing matters because we have the Winter Soldier in the same universe as She-Hulk. So who cares? Who cares about any of this?
I agree. I mean, I understand the want to do this universal filmmaking stuff. I just am so exhausted by it, and the parts of this movie that just got to be a Superman movie that didn't have to be anything else were my favorite parts. And the parts of this movie that definitely had to be not only a Superman movie, but the establishing movie in an ongoing connected universe were the parts that I thought were the most exhausting. And I wish we could just play in these spaces and just do one-off things that make sense within their own universe and don't have to be anything else. And I hope ultimately that's what Flanagan's Clayface story is. But man, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
I'm here for the Superman. I will follow the Superman wherever he goes, but I just don't know if I want more of this.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
don't know.
so exhausted by it. I'm so exhausted by the idea that Avengers Doomsday is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's okay, Scott. It'll never end. So,
Yeah, never.
yeah.
Did you know? Like really interesting thing though. I think the Fantastic Four movie comes out next week. I think, and it is the last Marvel film until Doomsday, which comes out in December of 2026.
It's a real long time from now.
It's like 18 months.
Interesting.
It's kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy.
Maybe we're in the eye of the storm.
I feel like we might be in the eye of the storm. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm good. That was Superman.
That was Superman.
Just despite, I mean, we talked about a lot of things that bothered us, but I think the message I want to leave it with is like, despite all of that, I had a very enjoyable time, and like, this is my Superman. I love this guy, and I can't wait to see more of him. I think that's one thing, there was not as much Superman in the Superman movie that I thought there was going to be, because it's like mixed in with all this other stuff that you were complaining about. And I agree with you. Maybe taking all that stuff out would have made a better Superman movie. But I also think it's kind of neat that I left this movie being like, I want to see more of that guy. I want more of him. I didn't get like so much of him that I'm just like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
No, I was left wanting more.
I agree. And in fact, that's the best thing that you can accomplish with a movie starting out a new franchise is sort of like the Tony Stark thing, where it's like that was a fun character and a fun portrayal. That's cool. I would like to see more of that, please. That's
so right.
It's definitely what you want to do with your opening movie.
You're so right. That establishing moment at the end of the first Iron Man is like, not only it's a great moment for many reasons, one of which is like, you're just like, hell yeah, I love this guy. I need more of him immediately. Yeah.
Yep.
Great stuff. All right, that is Superman. We'll be back for Supergirl in June of 2026. Let's see how that one goes.
I'm cautiously excited.
You think the dog's going to be in it a lot?
100%.
Can we just press pause on the dog, please?
Maybe the dog will get graphically shot in the chest in an incredibly emotional scene.
Okay, I don't want like you're gonna make the people turn on me. That's not what I want.
No, I'm just saying that's the kind of thing that happens in James Gunn movies.
I just put him in a super crate for like 2 hours for this movie.
Yeah, there you go. You solved it.
Okay, Matt, talk to me about K-pop Demon Hunters.
So, K-pop Demon Hunters is a movie on Netflix, which also released in theaters in the minimal number of theaters to qualify as a movie.
Are they running an Oscar campaign for this one? We're going Best Picture.
They're going for awards. I'm sure. I don't know about Oscar. But it's interesting because your reaction was basically bafflement at why I would want to talk about this, and it's like, well, this was. First of all, the reason I wanted to talk about it really is that my oldest daughter is really into K-pop, loves K-pop, really into Korean culture, actually. Has been teaching herself Korean on Duolingo for several months. Oh, wow. And can like write Hangul and stuff. So she's very serious about K-pop. And when your kid is really serious about a thing and then suddenly like a high budget movie about that exact special interest arrives, it's a big deal in your household.
Sure.
And so this was a movie that it's an animated movie. It's sort of doing the Spider-Verse animation style. I wish I had a better word for it, but you know exactly what I mean when I say that. It's it really pops visually. It's really well done visually. It's also got a lot of songs in it. It is in one sense a Disney princess movie. Because there's all sorts of things that I think make that an accurate statement, but like it's a musical, it's a dramatic story about a girl's coming of age. There is an animal companion. It just is. That's just they're very self-consciously making it a Disney movie, even though it's not a Disney movie. They're going for that formula, is what I'm saying. I thought it was actually quite effective. It's got a pretty deep moral, or it's about like shame is the theme of the movie, but like it's also very fun and exciting, and it's exactly like 100 minutes long. It's like the perfect length. And apparently it was like it's number one. It was number one on Netflix in 33 countries, including the U.S. and of course South Korea. So that was one thing I wanted to say is like you have no awareness of this movie except briefly seeing it on Netflix. But yes, it was number one on Netflix. Pretty much, around the world, you could say. So it's actually a pretty popular movie. It's got really high ratings. It has a 96% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know what that cashes out to in reality, but yeah, basically, I like this movie. I thought it was fun, and if you're at all into any of the cultural things that I just mentioned, then you should check it out.
Yeah, you mentioned this to me at the end of our podcast a couple days ago, like after we stopped recording, and I kind of rolled my eyes at you, and then I think you said it's doing the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse thing.
Yeah,
and then I think just to reiterate, like not only is it doing that, it's by Sony Pictures Animation. It is by the same company who makes those films, and obviously it's not necessarily the same people involved, but like. That immediately caused me to pay attention. And then like, cause I mean, that group has released, released the 2 Spider-Man films. It also released Mitchell's versus the Machines, which I think also a straight to Netflix partnership with them that came out in like 2021, I think, that I really loved. And I was like, oh, so it's in the same line of that, because yeah, I looked at this thing and I immediately said, not for me. Don't care. But then you mentioned it. And so I went and watched the trailer, and it is doing the very specific, unique, different looking kind of animation thing. It looks funny and zany and of the speed of that generation. And so yeah. I'm going to check it out. I am, but it is, yeah, it's a type of thing that's like, I never would have pressed play on this thing ever.
Yeah. I think your kids would like it because it's definitely like Spider-Verse. It's sort of like a super stimulus movie where, I mean, there's set pieces in this movie where it's like a mix between a K-pop musical performance and a magical sword battle with demons, with the frenetic camera movements and extremely well thought out, animation, and it's. I'm not saying like you're going to love it specifically because you're obviously not the target demographic, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. Obviously it worked really well on my daughter. Yeah, anyway, that's kind of, I like to make pitches for kind of weird, unusual things when I come across them.
You trying to tell me that people release movies that are not for 39-year-old white men? Because that, I can't let that happen. That's the end of my world. So
you're right. I mean, it's kind of a betrayal of the social contract.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Not too happy about this.
I'm sorry.
I'll go.
I'm sorry this is happening to you.
Yeah. I was not expecting you to put it that way. I really wasn't. One of those. I'm legitimately laughing because I can't talk right now. Oh my god. All right, so that's K-pop Demon Hunters, available right now on Netflix. This actually came out like a month ago. I just didn't hear about it ever.
Yeah, our vacation delayed me seeing it, but I did see it eventually.
Well, great. Everyone should check it out. I'm sure it looks very fun. I really like this new kind of animation style. Did you see Elio, the Pixar film?
No, I've not seen Elio yet.
Nobody did.
Yeah, I really want to, but
it makes me so sad because, I mean, first of all, I hear it's just not very good, but I also heard a very similar thing about Elemental, and I actually really enjoyed that movie. it just makes me very sad. Like, this is the worst opening for a Pixar film ever.
Yeah, I agree. I think I am going to see it, but it's just going to be
going to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be maybe next weekend or something. I don't know.
It's probably going to be Disney Plus for me.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what happens. Is like, this is this really weird one. Like, I think one thing that is definitely true is that, like, the surefire hit at the box office in 2025 is kids movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like How to Train Your Dragon, which is a live action remake of an animated film for like 10 years ago, made buttloads of money. Lilo and Stitch, which is a live action remake of an animated film from several decades ago, made buttloads of money. And then Pixar releases an original film that it didn't get good reviews, but also, like, I just felt like no one cared about this at all. I don't know if it was a marketing problem or what happened here, but they drummed up no interest in this thing whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff about Elio over the years. That apparently the studio has just struggled to
very troubled production. Yeah.
And maybe the studio just doesn't have a lot of confidence in their product, so they didn't put a lot of money behind it. I
kind of think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I've never not liked a Pixar movie ever. So, like, I would be shocked if I didn't like the movie, even if they, for whatever reason, don't have confidence in it.
I loved The Good Dinosaur. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it good? Can I say it's objectively good? No. But I liked it.
It's just going at a different speed, I think, than we're expecting movies to go these days. But I like every Pixar movie. So
yeah. Maybe we'll do an episode on it just to bring some more attention to it. Unless neither of us like it, in which case maybe we won't do that.
That's a good plan.
See. Yeah. All right. That is our show for the week.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. I want to hear from you. What did you folks think of Superman? It seems like the response to this thing is pretty overwhelmingly positive. So I think a lot of people really like it, and I think there's good reason for that. It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can reach out to us via email at doofmedia@gmail.com, over on Twitter at doofmedia, on Reddit, reddit.com/r/doofmedia, on Instagram at doofmedia, all that good stuff. Let us know, what did you think of Superman? And if you tried out K-pop Demon Hunters because Matt told you to, let us know what you thought of that too.
Yeah. If you're not already subscribed to this podcast and you want to hear it, then you should subscribe to it. And you'll never miss an episode. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms.
Bravo.
Thank you.
If you like what we do here at Doof Media and want to support us to make sure we keep doing it, you can become a patron of our podcast. Head on over to patreon.com/doofmedia. Check out all the available levels to join the community. There is a bunch of bonus things you can get at certain levels. We have a bonus podcast right now we're working on called 2, which is about the television show From. We are releasing season 2, episode 3 of that, I believe, next week, I think.
Well, you're going to try to.
Yeah. But there's plenty of other backlog of stuff there. Speaking of which, Matt, did you know there's a new Stephen King show on MGM Plus, which also has From on it?
Nope.
It's called The Institute. And it is bad.
I didn't expect you to say that.
No, I watched like the first episode and I said, nah, I'm done.
Excellent.
It's not very good.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah. I see there. You don't have to, folks, you don't have to shell out for a subscription to MGM Plus, which I can't believe is still a thing.
Yeah. Also, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Each review helps us get more exposure and introduces new people to the content that we make here.
All right, folks. Next week, we will be back with Paul Thomas Anderson to cover the director's 6th feature film. We're talking all about The Master. So go watch The Master and then come back and discuss it with us. We'll see you then.
and you'll do what I say. My name is Doof, and you'll do what I say.